Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Tara, Cyndi.
And I'm Josh, and it feels great to be back.
Welcome back, Josh.
Thank you. And you did a great job filling in for me to kick off season 17.
Thanks.
And as you did make mention, we are going to be revisiting works. We plan to revisit a total of 15 works that we determined that we wanted to revisit, be it we discussed it and want to look it over again, or people that did not take part in the discussion now have an opportunity to take part in that discussion, because it would feel bad to join the show midway through and realize that we already went over a particular work. Now is the opportunity that we have these works that we've gone over, and now we get to go over them again.
Yes, I'm excited about it because there's a lot of works that I was not able to participate in the first time around that we're going over now. So I'm excited to get to give my thoughts on these, some of these great works.
Me too.
And I'm looking forward to discussing them with you, because these next 4 discussions, I was the only person to be on any of those panels. So there are discussions that, as long as everything stays in place, there's going to be as many as 3 people from the original discussion taking part.
Oh.
But in this case, we're going to be going over Macbeth by William Shakespeare. Here's my handy source of anything Shakespeare, and we went over Macbeth back in season 4. It was John, Jackie, Charlie, and I that took part, and I know Tara has the Folger edition, which I've utilized that a few times when I was taking Shakespeare, and didn't want to lunge this one around because it would take up my entire satchel. But you have a discussion starter, Tara?
Yes. Let's see. Let me pick one. Okay. Macbeth's downfall result of free will or not? Where his actions controlled by solely fate, or did he have any choice in the matter?
He kind of had choice in the matter, but he didn't necessarily. It's that whole idea of you shouldn't be playing with fate, because he tried to rely on witchcraft sources to determine his fate and become too comfortable in them. The irony of what took part as a response is quite unfortunate for him.
Yes, because everything came true that they said was going to happen came true, but not in the way that he had hoped for.
Very Twilight Zone-esque.
Yes.
What he
If you
chose.
want to look at it
It's
that
just
way.
what he chose.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And what he chose.
it's an interesting play between destiny and free will, and that is like at the crux of this whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Is right there about what is what. Because from one perspective, you could look at it and say, oh well, he's just fulfilling his destiny, and no matter what he did, that would have been the end result. But I don't think that's the case. I think that he's kind of tricked into following this line of action, and it's about the sin of ambition more than anything, where he's trying to become more than his station is. So I think that's really what it's saying, is that you should not try to plan out your future to such a degree, where you're trying to control the outcome of all events.
And by control, it was he and his wife wanted to control every aspect of their future, no matter what it meant to other people.
Yes.
And the problem with doing that is you can't see what each choice that you're making is going to have, what kind of impact that's going to have on everything else, on other people's choices, and then it bounces back if there's a boomerang effect.
Yeah. And then the whole the Weird Sisters, they were very vague in the very beginning. So it also could have been part of how you perceived what the message meant. Like, the how you interpreted how it was interpreted, and then the choices he made affected his fate, and it ended not so great with choices he made.
Right. It's like it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, pretty much. And out and then the wife
Lady Macbeth.
Lady Macbeth, she was in the play very few times, but she made a big impact in it.
I would say Lady Macbeth is the strongest female character that Shakespeare has ever written.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she's not just in the way that she is basically an equal to Macbeth, whereas many of his characters are a bit they take on this position that's more inferior. Actually, more so they are. Whereas
inferior because of the time how women were perceived then.
But Lady Macbeth presents herself as an equal in the decision-making process, in the way that she presents herself. She might not get involved in the fighting, but she does assert herself as both a character and a player within the course of events.
Yeah, she's the catalyst and it sets everything into motion. It's her. She's the first one to talk about killing Duncan. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. She's the first one to bring it up, and she really convinces Macbeth to do it, despite him trying to back out of it and not being all in the beginning. You know, at first he's like, "Well, we'll talk about it later," but she's like, "No, we're going to do this." And then later on, he's like, "Well, let's back out now before it's too late." And she's like, "No, be a man, go do what you're supposed to do, you coward." So she's really the catalyst, And in a sense, too, that kind of reminds me of like the story of Adam and Eve, where it's Eve that eats the fruit first, and she is, and Lady Macbeth is, in fact, the catalyst in this event as well.
But were there any particular characters that really stuck out to you in this piece aside from Lady Macbeth?
Lady Macbeth is. I had a tab every time she came in, and
I would
I
say
really
that
liked her. And then I love the Weird Sisters, or like my two. Like I always gravitate towards female characters. Yes, there are some male characters I gravitate towards, but like in this story, I really liked the Weird Sisters, and I liked how they kind of got themselves in trouble.
You mean the witches?
Yeah, the witches, but they're called Weird Sisters too.
Okay. In my version, they are referred to.
Yeah, they are called
witches.
But
They're called
Macbeth
witches.
calls them the Weird Sisters, and
Okay.
Yeah.
that's kind of like, because he doesn't want to say witches, he wants to say Weird Sisters, so that it's not so obvious that he's cooperating with evil.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you also have, they also meet with Banquo, who they prophesize that one of his kids is going to become the ruler,
Yeah,
whereas Macbeth himself will become the ruler.
yeah, and it's interesting that doesn't actually end up happening.
For a slight period of time, but to him it's not enough.
No, I mean,
yeah.
with the prophecy about Banquo, is that how do you pronounce it?
Yeah, Banquo.
Banquo.
But
right?
it doesn't happen yet, because when he's killed, his son flees, and
Yes.
it does not happen during the course of the play, but we never know. Few years, few decades down the road, will his son, or his son being named Fleance, or
Yes, that's right.
Fleance.
Yes.
Fleance is going to take over, or one of his kids. So that's left open-ended.
Well, in a way it is, but I mean, Malcolm is the rightful heir,
Mm-hmm.
and he survives and he becomes king. Because he's the son of Duncan. He's Duncan's son, so he should be the king.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's a young man who's talking about in England. He's talking about the fact that he hasn't found a woman yet.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking for one. So there's no reason to think that would not end up happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that also lays credence to the idea that this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, where it's by Macbeth's own actions that it happens. Whereas Banquo is more like, I really want to think about what those witches said because I don't want to try to take control of my own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he says that he doesn't want to hope in these things because of the fact that, you know, they could lead to ruin. He sees that right off the bat. He says that these are dangerous prophecies.
It goes down pretty quickly, though,
Mm-hmm.
which is seems to be. I see that a bit frequently as far as the Shakespeare deaths and battles are concerned.
Yeah, and as soon as he kills him, he just goes crazy. He sees his friends go. What's his name again? The
Banquo.
Bank. That's how you say it.
Banquo, yeah.
Killed him, and they were friends too. So like I think that's part of his guilt too. Killing the king and that who's also your friend, and he just went crazy. And then Lady Macbeth, she lost her sense of mind as well towards the end.
Yeah, that's another really big theme is the theme of guilt, right? Because we see that, like you said, with Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, they're both kind of driven mad by the feelings of guilt over what they've done, and I think that's you know, good element, an important element to this story. What do you think, Josh?
Well, as far as
The feeling of guilt and how that drives both of
yes, it certainly does, because you see it in Macbeth on and off, and then Lady Macbeth, when she starts sleepwalking,
them. Yes.
she starts to pretty much reveal herself and her guilt before she just suddenly dies.
Yeah, well, I think she takes her own life is the intimation. Is that
And
what
that's
Forger
the ultimate
says?
feeling of guilt.
Yeah, where you are totally overwhelmed by that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what Forger makes of it? That she killed herself?
I think so.
I think so.
I
I read it on my own.
Very
I read that part on my own without
Okay.
it, and I looked back and it pretty much did say that that she did kill herself. Suicide, actually, they said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What did everybody make of the prophecy from the witches as far as the tree that they, or the balsam that they brought with them when they confronted Macbeth, and the fact that Macduff was ripped from the womb?
Yeah, well, I think with the balsam trees, it kind of makes you think that they were actually seeing things from Macbeth's eyes, because that's what it must have looked like when you saw these trees moving, you know. So it's not like they actually knew what was happening, but were like actually looking through his future eyes and seeing what it appeared to be, which is that these trees were coming, you know, or actually it was the army using them as camouflage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the ultimate plot twist as far as Shakespeare is concerned.
Yeah.
I thought those were hallucinations.
Explain.
Well, because they didn't. It just didn't seem real. I mean, that was just my impression. It was that it wasn't real. It wasn't what was really happening, and so he was hallucinating.
Okay. I mean,
Maybe.
that was what they had said, that it was the balsam trees and the fact that nobody born
Born
of woman
Yeah.
would be able to kill him, or that would not be able to bring him down. Which interesting that it happens that way.
Yes.
So
That was a little bit of a stretch, though, right?
Mm.
Can we really say that because it was a C-section that the baby was not born of a woman?
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know, it depends on what you mean by born, right? If you're
Yeah.
very specific that it has to be passing through the birth canal, then
I mean, yeah, I would argue that even through cesarean section, you're being born of a woman, but I think that Shakespeare wanted to find a way to
Yeah, you wanted a weird.
make it, and
Yeah.
petri dishes didn't exist back then.
He'd have been still on that.
Oh yeah.
you know.
And there is no stork that's going to come and drop Macduff onto our little world.
Yeah.
Or he's not Mario who fell from the sky among Yoshi creatures. But
Yeah. It's definitely something that keeps you guessing. You know, is that particular prophecy is like, well, how's that going to be? resolved, where it's going to be someone not born of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And there it is. You find it.
Another character that stuck out to me was the porter. I thought he was an interesting source of comic relief.
Yeah.
Stuck out the first time I read it, and stuck out again this time, with the cynicism toward everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Knock, knock, knock. Does anybody have anything else to say?
Well, I was thinking that, the symbolism, they got the symbol of the blood, the dagger, the weather. What other symbolisms? I know that's not all. I'm pretty sure there was other things. The bow strikeout. Those are.
Yeah, when she obviously, that's one of the most famous parts, I think, of this story, is when Lady Macbeth is trying to wash the blood off her hands and can't, in her delusion or nightmare.
Which represents not being able to get rid of the guilt.
Yes. Now, what does a dagger mean, do you think, Cyndi?
That I don't know.
That's just symbol for something.
I mean, a dagger pretty much is something that solidifies someone's decision.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes along with the theme of what's done is done, right? That's something that's repeated several times.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like the symbols, like the armed head, the blood of a child, the child crown thing, the crown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the disembodied head. I wonder how they
Oh,
pulled that
like-
off.
You're talking about Macbeth's at the very
Yeah,
end.
like where the witches meet Hedeke, and him is mad to tell the witches / sisters to fix their mess of their riddles and deaths, and Macbeth meets with the witches, and they show him the appearances of an armed head, a bloody child, and a child crowned. And all the words to Macduff is a spiritual bronco, and that's my notes.
As far as a beheaded head is concerned, we read Man for All Seasons back in season 15, and there was an incident where, at the very end,
There's a beheading there.
there was a beheading, and they explain how that's done. His head is it's peeking out from behind the curtain. In this case, they'll make something work where they change the scene, or they make it. Back in the day, it was probably more obvious. I mean, now, but granted, the other thing to keep in mind is that it's just a head, so it's not like in Man for All Seasons. It's a functioning head. Macbeth's is dormant at this point. It's dead.
Well, yeah, at that part, but during the visions that he's having, doesn't it talk, or
I don't remember that part. I just remember
they just show it to him?
They
I thought
just
it
show
was-
it to him.
Okay.
And then in that whole scene, Bronco, however you say it, was his name, the one that he killed,
Banquo.
Banquo, interfering in with the visions, and because he and the witches are actually seeing it, and him he was interfering with that, with the message that the witches wanted to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
They keep saying, don't talk to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and of course, but that's kind of the theme of Macbeth too, is that he's always trying to force his will and make things happen that he wants to happen, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you're power hungry.
Yeah.
To me, the Macbeths kind of in a far-fetched way, remind me of the Clintons. Only instead of power, I think that Macbeth seems to be more. I think he seems to be more in touch with himself as far as knowing what he wants is concerned. But Lady Macbeth really is a.
Hashtag Clinton body count. Is that what we're going for?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
All right.
Do we have any final thoughts?
No, I think I said all I wanted to say.
Alrighty then. How would we rate this? 0 to 5 stars, half stars permitted. Larry?
I go probably 4. I'd say it's a 4. It's definitely one of my favorites that I've read from Shakespeare. I think Macbeth is a fascinating character, and he's kind of tormented by his conscience and tormented throughout the entire process, and it ends up in his demise because he is unable to control his desires. So I think that is a really fascinating look at what can happen and how power can corrupt.
Tara?
5 stars. I really liked it. I have like I tabbed it up. I wrote in it. I highlighted like my favorite quotes. Well, not quotes I really liked. I engaged with the text. The text actually in this copy, it tells me what to expect in the next scenes and certain words that don't make sense that are basically Shakespeare's.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me a lot. So I suggest go with this book if you're a first time reader of Shakespeare.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would give it a solid 4. It's really good. But, yeah, just 4. I mean, he does a solid job. He's good. The story's great, but so sad.
Macbeth is my favorite Shakespeare play. I'm giving it 5 stars because I think that it really goes above and beyond for as far as Shakespeare is concerned. I think the characters are strong. Their motives are very clearly developed. I really I like the how clever it is and how they utilize the different twists, and I just think it just works. And I think Lady Macbeth is his strongest female character, and I just think that Macbeth is Shakespeare at his finest. I would say Julius Caesar was in second, but after rereading that, it wasn't as strong. Hamlet, I would say that's about somewhere behind that as well. But I think Macbeth is his best.
Yeah, I would agree that Macbeth is probably the best one that I've read. I like Hamlet a lot, and King Lear is probably my top 3.
I like
3.
I like 12th Night.
Yeah.
I thought Measure for Measure was pretty underrated too.
I haven't read either of those.
In that funny kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I like that theme of the whole theme of 12 Nights.
That inspired She's the Man.
Yeah, and a few other,
yeah.
and a few other ones and a few other stories that I have through that. Like it's, I just find it's like comedically like hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I just find it really funny because like the whole thing question yourself. The guy does, but like you realize that how you're like actually attracted to what you're actually attracted to. And even though it turns out it's someone who you're attracted to, so.
Ultimately, I'm glad that we are revisiting this play.
Yes, this play.
Rather than something like Titus Andronicus, which is trash that belongs.
What the heck?
That needs to be
I never heard that
lit
play.
on fire.
Josh and I have very differing views on Titus Andronicus. Don't we, Josh?
Yes, we do.
What did you say it was? The Teletubbies are better?
I'd rather see the Teletubbies. I'd rather see the Teletubbies and Boobas go to war with each other than read Titus Andronicus ever again. Something along those lines. Check my Goodreads review. It says it's a bit more clear, and that only those that have an appreciation for violent video games would get something out of it.
And I found that opinion to be highly offensive. Because I loved it. I thought it was great.
But
It's a bloodbath.
Oh.
if you're interested in picking up Macbeth and not Titus Andronicus, this is my copy of the complete plays.
And I suggest this, and if you're a collector, I highly suggest get what Josh has if you're a collector of books.
Yeah, but
if you just want to
I
read
think
it,
that it would be
this,
more
this
the
is
flip.
perfect.
And this is helpful because, like you were saying, it's got a lot of notes in it. And
Yeah,
it's got the
good point.
definitions of
That's
some
why
of the
That's
more
what I'm-
obscure words
Yeah,
in there.
what I'm saying is like, if you want to read it, do this one. When you're a collector, get that for your
Yeah.
collection.
Actually, with regard, I didn't want to have as many Shakespeare books in my collection, and this has everything in it. And I like to have as many books in as little volumes as possible. That's why I'll go for Library of America. Like I have Eugene O'Neill, Tennessee Williams, Saul Bellow. I have them in the Library of America so that it's not like individual. I just have them all together.
Plus, if you can't reach the top shelf, you can use it for that too.
Perhaps.
Or you can just use that as a weapon for something like
Yeah.
smart.
It's an exercise tool.
Yep.
Lift weights.
Mm-hmm.
I use books as a different kind of weapon. A weapon to do good. A weapon to stimulate and strengthen your thinking.
Oh yeah, well that's why I like Titus Andronicus.
Titus Andronicus is poison to the brain.
Yes. Okay.
It's basically how many people we can kill in a day. Alrighty
I
then.
disagree, but okay.
Okay.
Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.